We are recording this on Monday, August 11th. It's the evening, and about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, the news broke that comedian and actor Robin Williams passed away. Very sadly, it seems to be suicide. His agent said he was battling severe depression recently. Very sad, but in celebration of his life, and as a comedian, I'm sure he'd want us to have a good old laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the life and career of Robin Williams, Michael.
I was definitely. I would say, what I would say for me was, I think about Robin Williams. I like how much the fact that he really was not like my kind of comedian per se. Like, he wasn't the usual type that I would gravitate towards, and the fact that how he just was hilarious. It didn't matter that wasn't like my thing.
He was probably one of the funniest
yeah
people in the comedy scene in Hollywood, in movies.
I think of Good Morning
television.
Vietnam.
I'm thinking through some of the movies right now that I love him in. Hook.
Yeah.
Is an amazing movie where he plays basically a grown-up Peter Pan who forgot about Neverland, and it's a fantastic film. He's the genie in Aladdin, which to me is one of the greatest Disney roles of all time. I mean, he was able to I mean, I know they say a lot of the best cartoons are geared towards kids but have humor that only adults understand. But Disney doesn't always do that. At least at that time they didn't. And he did with the genie. He was able to, and I'm sure a lot of that was off the cuff for him and just improvisational because he was that funny. I think Death to Smoochie. Have you ever seen that movie?
I actually missed that movie, which I know I need to see. Everybody tells me that.
To me, it's one of the most underrated movies ever. When it came out, I remember critics saying how bad it was. And I didn't see it in the movies. And then my dad is watching it, and he tells me, you have to watch this movie. This was years ago, like when it first started being shown on cable. And I watched it, and I was like, how did this movie get bad? This is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I mean, how do you go wrong with the movie starring Robin Williams, Danny DeVito, and Edward Norton? I mean, how do you go wrong with that?
It sounds pretty hard. I'll tell you a movie which was not, I just objectively, it's not a very good movie. But there's this movie called Cadillac Man, I think. It's this really obscure Robin Williams movie. And it's sort of like, there's something about, he plays this kind of like sleazy Cadillac dealer. And the dealership gets taken over by Tim Robbins, actually. Tim Robbins is in it. And he's all upset because he's the boyfriend of one of the girls who's like a secretary there or something, and she's cheating on him. And he shows up with a machine gun and takes them hostage. And Robin Williams, his character basically kind of deals with the situation and saves it. And, even in that role, he's playing this guy who's really an asshole, but he just has this goodness about him. He's a good dude. He's got a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
And I just remembered that role because, again, it's really not, I don't even know why I watched it. It's not such a great movie, but it's there was, because, the reason I didn't turn the channel was just because there's something compelling about him. The way he's trying to connect with Tim Robbins, the way he's trying to, really do right by people, even as he's, clearly really struggling. And obviously, tragically, we see, he's obviously really struggling. It was just something very palpable about him. And, came through in his comedy, came through in his... I mean, I also know, he wasn't always... I think he went in and out of it a little bit, but he clearly, he had liberal politics and spoke out on issues he was a guy too. He spoke out on, as an example, rights for gays and lesbians.
Yes.
Long before that became, just the sort of, go-to thing that you do if you're, an acceptable human being in certain coastal cities. I mean, he did that at a point when... it could have hurt him at a box office. He played a gay man and a cross-dresser when it could have hurt him at the box office. And, so he definitely had a real social conscience. He's obviously a really sensitive and talented person, and yeah, it's sad. It's just really sad.
I want to. I mean, Miss Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire,
Great movie.
Yeah.
What else do we got here? I want to make sure we really. I mean, Good Morning Vietnam, obviously. He was Popeye.
He was Popeye.
Yeah,
right.
people don't remember that one. It's one of his first movies. Of course, I mean, we all were introduced to him with Mork and Mindy, great television show. I mean, would that show have gotten anywhere without him?
You know, I
mean,
don't even remember it, but I couldn't imagine.
I mean, he literally with his it's Jumanji, Toys, Patch Adams. I could just go on. Bicentennial Man. 1 hour photo. I mean, this guy was able to not just play a hilarious comedy role, but when it got down to him having to play a serious, dramatic role where he had to be just a weird, creepy antagonist.
Yes.
He was man, could he act? Like,
yeah, he really could.
Dude was amazing. And I want to end this today's show by giving you this number. If you or anyone you know is suffering from depression, please call 1-800-273-8255. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. 1-800-273-8255. It's easy when you know a friend, especially if you're a young person, or you know what, not even just a young person. I'm just saying especially because I know myself. It was easier when I was young when a friend would say they're depressed. I'd be like, oh, come on, man, let me make you laugh when you get over it. And, you know, as you get older, you realize that's not what depression really is all about. It's not about just getting over it. It's not about having a laugh, getting yourself, you know, to think about happy things. It's just something that's not that simple. It's a disease. It's something you have to fight. And I think it's important for people to know that, you know, people care about you. And if you're feeling this way, there's people out there who can help you. And please do help yourself by calling this number, 1-800-273-8255. If you are depressed, reach out. Robin Williams, thank you for all the great movies. I'm glad I went to Comedy Cellar that night many years ago in about maybe it was like 2009, 2010, when he just randomly showed up.
Oh, wow.
Cut Jim Norton's set short, which really...
Best of all worlds.
And did probably the greatest set I've ever seen. I was right in front. He was about an inch away from me. Hour-long set, I would say it was. And it was definitely the funniest thing I've ever seen. And it wasn't pre-written punchline joke humor. Dude was able to just talk about life, and he was fucking hilarious.
That's great. And I also just want to say right before we wrap up, and I hope everybody's having a great vacation and everything, but since we're not going to be here, to whatever comments people make on Fox or conservative radio shows about depression or suicide or Robin Williams, fangul, F you. Go
Michael's
screw yourself.
doing the old...
Yeah, I'm giving you that. I just want to say
the old
that
full-blooded Italian.
just so that's covered in the event of
I'm already seeing it, but I'm not...
No, I don't want to cite any specific examples. I just want to give a general F you. Let's remember him. And yeah, I think that's beautiful that Matt did that. Reach out for help. Everybody needs it at some point.
And we will end with a bangarang. Take care.